I want to welcome you to another edition into the Invest Podcast. I'm your host, John Ross, aka Johnny Invests. Make sure you subscribe to the All Things Invest YouTube channel. Smack that subscribe button down below. Also, really soon, in the next week or two, All Things Invest YouTube channel will become Invest Universal. Invest Universal will be me and my dope team of content creators. We're going to bring you motivation, fitness, and lifestyle. Also, follow me on Instagram at All Things Invest with 3 T's. I got an awesome guest here, a fitness trainer with a specialization in posture and mobility improvement, also with a specification in rehab and injury prevention. I tried to say her last name. It's Italian. It almost sounds like spaghetti or some type of really dope pasta. But first, I just want to go ahead and welcome Deborah. I'll say Deborah M. to the Invest Podcast. I don't want to mess that up and disrespect. Deborah, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Johnny. Thanks so much for having me here. Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's been like a crazy week for you. It's been a crazy week for me as well. I've been having a really rough couple of weeks with my allergies out here in California, especially yesterday. It was super duper windy and I could just see the stuff in the air. I was going to the gym trying to get a workout, and I'll tell people, I'm not crying. I'm not sad. It's just the allergies are so bad in my eyes. They just run. And usually for me, what I normally do, I start taking all of my allergy medicine like a few weeks before the allergy season comes. But I forgot. And now it's like I got another week or two just dealing with this. Oh, it's the worst. So Deborah, before we kick things off, go ahead and tell my listeners, our viewers, where are you from?
Well, I am from Greater Boston.
Boston. Okay.
Yeah,
Self-pride, huh?
Yeah. We also have allergy season starting. I feel like I get the "Are you stoned?" look a lot. With my eyes being bloodshot. Yeah. They also do fun, but I feel you on that 100.
Yeah, definitely. So, I've been to New York and stuff like that. How's Boston? I've never been to Boston. I haven't worked with anybody from Boston yet. So, how is Boston, Mass?
Yeah, I grew up in Boston. I absolutely love Boston. I'm okay with the winters. It's smaller than New York. I literally have walked the city in a day. It's quite nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's you get a little bit of everything here. You get all seasons. So you have a beautiful fall. You have a rainy but nice spring, and then you get a summer, and of course you have the winter.
Okay.
I love it here. It's smaller, so I could get to Boston literally in 15 minutes, but if there's traffic, it can be like 2-3 hours.
Okay. Yeah, and the winters there, they can still get pretty cold, right? Because I was in New York about 2 months ago. I went like right at the end of winter, and I'm from California. I'm a Cali boy, West Coast, and I tried to go out there. I went out into the go outside from the hotel, and I thought I'd be good just wearing this hoodie right here like I do in the winter in California. That door opened, it swung open, and that East Coast breeze just hit my face. I had to run back upstairs to the 6th floor, so it can get pretty cold out there as well. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, it's cold. You have to be prepared. I probably start putting layers on around the end of October, beginning of November.
Definitely. With this being a fitness podcast, let's talk. Deborah, what is your history? What is your journey? What is your story with fitness? What brought you to fitness? Were you always into it? Was it something you got into later in life? Like, what's your story?
Yeah, so I have always been a fitness person. I did recreational sports as a child. Gymnastics, softball, although that was not my most favorite thing.
Okay.
I was track. I was a sprinter. I was real fast in track.
Ooh,
and
nice.
I developed, really what happened is I developed eating disorders, like severe eating disorders. I was anorexic, and then I became bulimic, and I was hospitalized. And then the one thing that fitness and my journey has I've always committed to is wanting to get better, wanting to get healthier, wanting to be the best version of myself. And I never gave up on wanting to move forward. So I had a lot of injuries when it came to gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't super strong. I was very dance-like-ish, but I had a lot of restrictions in my hip and my flexibility, my mobility. Okay. And so fast forward to as I was healing, I decided that I was trying to go to yoga, strength classes, kickboxing. I tried it all because I love it. It just brings life to me.
Love it, yeah, for
But
sure.
I can't keep up with those classes when you have injuries, and
Yeah.
the teacher's gotta teach to the class, and I gotta respect that. So I started trying different types of yoga, and because it's pretty much primitive gymnastic at its
Right.
core.
Okay.
And then I just really tried different teachers and finally fell into a pattern where, all right, I need to scale completely back. I need to not move fluidly, and I need to move very choppy while I learn different functional movement patterns, get familiar with how the joints articulate together, how the elongation of your muscles allow you to have greater range of motion. And as I started doing that, I was coming into a greater sense of health, so my eating disorders had gone away. And I was like, all right, I feel healthy enough that I could create something. And I started creating wellness programs for hospitality. Because I had been, throughout this journey, I had been in the food industry.
Okay.
I thought, well, the longevity of your body is really, really important for your career in any trade. So how can I create a package for this place in society? And then the pandemic hit. It was literally that week that I had just started marketing everything.
Oh my God.
So I decided, all right, well, my world had crumbled. I decided, well, let's just get better at shooting videos. And so I went on the platform of YouTube, and I decided, well, I can still take post-physical therapy rehab, which is where I lie, and I can create small little workouts where I can begin to get comfortable on camera, get comfortable with the type of routines that are good, that people like. And that's sort of how it just developed. So from the middle of that pandemic, my businesses had closed down in food. I had stopped being in hospitality. And then I just diligently kept showing up week after week. And I gained some traction. And then I'm not starting from a place where I had full classes, because I had really kind of just missed that. Mm-hmm. And so starting from the very scratch with no email list, no anybody, I'm literally in the dark here.
Yeah, right.
That's really being okay with not being perfect, putting something out there, getting better. And then over time, I started developing the content, which I put out now on Instagram, which is more fun, light, happy, and there'll be good exercises in there and good challenges and all that, but I really wanted to be the whole experience, because there are days I don't want to work out, and that's just the truth.
Right.
But discipline is really the element that gets you to where you want to be. I know people think discipline's a chore or a punishment, but it's not. It gets you there. So that's
very interesting that you ended out that round of questions with that, because I had actually put out a story post yesterday where I talked about being able to stay consistent with anything you're doing, especially your fitness. I tell people that sometimes motivation will fade, motivation will come and go. There's going to be out of 7 days, or maybe 3-4 days you're motivated. There may be a couple that you're not, but the discipline, and the words I used was routines and rituals. Mm-hmm. And doing things even on the hard days, because life's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're gonna have times when maybe you're busy at work, you're stressed out, maybe you have kids, the kids are misbehaving, maybe you have a husband or a wife, things are kind of funny with that. Things are going to go wrong sometimes. That's life.
Yeah.
But what keeps you going and grinding, it has to be your routines and rituals. If you can master that, you can get that down, nothing's going to stop you. And I like how you talked about your content. I'm pretty sure your content you put out, like you said, it improved over time.
Yeah.
And I also tell people that you don't have to be perfect, just decent, and you build from that. And I'm a true fan of continuous improvement. and just getting better over time. Just like with fitness, it's like you go into the gym, you might learn a new exercise, and maybe the first time or two you do an exercise, maybe the form isn't perfect, but over time you get better, you improve. So I'm a big fan of continuous improvement. And this wasn't really a part of our questioning, but I did not know or was aware of your eating disorder. And I'm pretty sure there are going to be some listeners and viewers that maybe have dealt with that, Deborah, or are dealing with that right now. So I would say your eating disorder, it kind of started just from trying to pretty much maintain a certain type of image. So that was kind of like you were basically at all costs kind of like that to look and be a certain kind of way. Is that kind of how your disorder kind of started? Everybody's different though as far as anorexia and bulimia go. But what was your take on it for you?
Yeah. Yes, on a physical level, it that's what it can encompass that. The deeper levels are trauma. So we all experience to varying degrees trauma when we grow up and we get conditioned for life. And when there's no sense of control or there's you're not in an environment that allows you to express yourself or to grow into yourself in safe ways, then you develop coping strategies. And for me, it was food. Other people, it might be drugs or alcohol. But what ends up happening is that unlike drugs or alcohol, you can't necessarily tell somebody has a problem with food because unless you're severely anorexic and you can physically see it, you can't really tell when someone's misbehaving or doing a dance with food. Right. And that way you could still be a high functioning adult or even adolescent, if you will. And that's how you can keep getting through life. But eventually, these behaviors, they don't last, and it starts negatively impacting, most likely, first thing, relationships, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, with work. And then on a physical level, the body will start deteriorating. So I had been hospitalized, so there was a lot of damage done to my intestines, my organs, all those things. So those are very real things that happen. And so when somebody has that element to them, there is there's separating the food and nutrition from actual fitness and being healthy, because I think you still need to keep moving. Like if you were to have an injury, there's other areas of the body you can work on in the meantime while you heal. The body needs to move, but it's that coming together and that compassion for yourself, the empathy for what happened or what didn't happen that needs to have happened when you were a child, that now you can get that need met as an adult, whether you're now surrounding yourself with like-minded people that are going to support your journey and who you stand for and what have the similar goals and values. And then, creating new habits, like the rituals and the routines that you were talking about, because it's digging deep for your why. And when those days when I'm too tired, I'm had a long day at my day job and I just don't want to do it, I remind myself, I have a sick neighbor downstairs. I hear him coughing all of the time. He's on oxygen. I have the capacity to move my body, the capacity to eat food. Get on that mat. One rep is just better than none. And I know I always feel better mentally, physically, spiritually. I'm a better version of myself to my partner, to my colleagues, to myself. And you know what? That's what I tap into when I'm, 15 minutes in and my phone dies. And I'm like, I still have 15 minutes of cardio.
Yeah, had that happen. It sucks.
But with the food specifically, that's it's actually something I'm going to rope in later on as I get more established. I'm not going to tap into that right now. I'm too new. But yeah, I think for your audience that may have something to that degree, always reaching out for help. I'm happy to talk to anybody, be a support structure. I've had sponsors in my life to be able to help you see clearly, But yeah, it ultimately is the worst thing that can happen to you, but it's also simultaneously the best thing that can happen to you, because you learn so much about yourself, and that really puts you in a state of empowerment. And when you're empowered, you take those small steps.
Definitely. So one of the things that my brand promotes and the podcast promotes is lifestyle. Actually, it's motivation, fitness, and lifestyle. Me having a background in fitness, having a background in nutrition, had been a personal trainer for a number of years, always trying to help and spread the good word of health and fitness. I believe everybody, Deborah, should be somewhat active. We're all different levels. Some of us are pro athletes, bodybuilders, marathoners, triathletes, all this stuff. But everybody should put a little bit of time into themselves. I see people, going to work, working a lot and doing that. We go to work pretty much because we have to. We have to make ends meet. We do that because it's mandatory. Fitness isn't mandatory. And one thing I notice and I have a problem with is that people are not making it a priority to do that because it isn't mandatory. It isn't heavily promoted on TV. It isn't pushed in the media for people to really put into themselves. And people are going to absorb whatever is around them. So why do you believe there is an obesity epidemic in this country? We have a high level of Americans that are considered overweight and obese. What do you think is one of the main drivers of it? For me, I say a lot of it has to do, I say the government and the media. I believe the food manufacturers, they spend, billions of dollars every single year on advertisement, McDonald's, Burger King, Jack in the Box and all that. And you barely see any commercials about anything that's good or healthy. So that's my take on it. I believe a lot of it's in the media. I believe the media is what's making people overweight and obese because it's not really prioritized for people to put into themselves. To me, there's even like a misconception about people that do strive for fitness is that some of them and we are stuck up and conceited because it's not actually normal to be fit because there's more unfit people than there are fit people. So I think the biggest driver of that is?
Well, I agree with a lot of what you have to say there. The way society is set up in this culture, it values a high level of individualism. So you have corporate profits that are the driving force behind our government, which the government should be to govern the people in the best interest of the people, but democracy in this country is maybe a facade. And with that, we have a large country. We have a long way. You got to ship food. So you have an entire supply chain, and then you have an entire industry. I mean, I've owned bakeries, I've owned meal delivery companies. The profit margin in which you're working with is relatively small unless you have high volume or depending on, small niches, you can high end your product. But you have an industry that it's cheaper to get food that's unhealthy. It is expensive to buy healthy food. And then you have the middle class disappearing. And so you have these gaps between what is very accessible to a small group of people compared to what's accessible to a growing larger amount of people. And I think that's directly related to what values in this country. And I don't think we are governing with a set of morals and ethics and values that support the overall and well-being of people. I think we're getting more emotionally aware now. We might be stepping into a greater space of awareness. But I think it's harder for people because there isn't a lot of support structure. Gyms were shut down during COVID. Restaurants were shut down during COVID. And they've come to find out that that's not even, the main spreading factor.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's not becoming the norm because people are taking the easy way out because it's just easy to come home and just do things. We live in a society where it's go, 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 go. Take my kids here. I got to work here. Hours are getting longer. Pay is getting less. Yep. And I think when that stress level goes up, people aren't able to regulate their emotions. We're not taught emotional well-being in school. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think people aren't realizing when they're tipping into stress eating or they're wanting to numb out by just watching TV episode after episode. And it comes back down to that discipline being more in their perception. Maybe it's too hard. It's, requires me to step out of my comfort zone. But if you don't make that leap, you don't able to get the rewards and benefits that come from that. So it's switching the mindset and the mindset. And I think that's really hard to do, especially if you're trying to do that on your own.
For sure.
And the nice thing about what I was trying to create is that I noticed there being a gap in physical therapy. When you come out of physical therapy, you're like, what do I do from here?
Right.
You might keep your exercises for 2 or 3 weeks most, and then you kind of fall off. So I was looking to create that support structure for somebody to come in, have a program to follow. But then when they get their body to a place, and they can go other places, there's a bunch of fitness people out there. Please utilize them. They are here for you. We're in this together, combined, to help you elevate yourself to the next level. Because then when you're at that level, you inspire other people to do that, and it's a chain reaction. But there's really real factors that are out of our control that I think, I've been slammed back with multiple job losses myself and have to repick myself back up. And that's hard. And I've done that while going through breakups, pay cuts and all those things. And it's like one thing after another, you're just like,
For sure.
So,
Definitely. Yeah, for me, I tell people, when you invest in yourself, you can pass it on to others. You're a better version of yourself to others. Before I let you go really quickly, just touch on really quickly the importance of being mobile, mobility, posture, flexibility, especially as you get older. I see a lot of older people, and I think a lot of it has to do with your muscles and your bones and things like that will deteriorate as we age.
yeah.
But one of the things that can improve it and actually slow down that aging is being mobile, mobility, moving, working, lifting, yoga, weights, things of that nature, blunt force trauma, on the bones to improve their strength. So that way, when you age, you're able to do your ADLs a lot more easier. A lot of older individuals, this even happened to my grandmother. And when you age and you're not active and you're not mobile, those muscles, those bones, they weaken so much to where the ADLs, getting out of bed, climb a flight of stairs at one point in time, become really difficult. But I do know if people are able to maintain mobility and activity throughout their whole life, they can stay a lot more independent for a longer period of time. So really quickly, as a mobility specialist, the importance of that.
Yeah, I commend you for that, because that's absolutely true. Quality of life will improve. It is absolutely easier the earlier that you start fitness than it is to maintain that healthy habit. So if someone coming in midlife, it is going to be a little bit more challenging, but there are resources out there. It's making that choice and really being comfortable and knowing that you want what you want in life. And if you want to have play with your grandkids, or you want to be able to travel, whether it's go on a cruise or take a hike in the woods or whatever you want to do, you're prioritizing what you want in life. And when you do that, you realize you can backpedal and say, well, I have to then show up today. So if I want that, what are the things I can do today? And then one step forward, and then the other, and then eventually it gets better. Like it will be hard. You won't have a full range of motion the first time you do an exercise, but eventually then your body gets familiar with it. Then you add the resistance, and then you add some more strength, and then it's one step, one day at a time, one movement at a time, one rep at a time. And then the momentum builds. The hardest part is just starting out, but that's why you have people like me, where you have small communities to begin and have a place to do and have support structure, have a program to follow, and then you can find your specialty as something that you might like, be it a sports performance, or it's athletic training to a different degree, or it's yoga for just flexibility, whatever it's out there. You know what I mean? But yeah, mobility is going to be key, because without it, you do lose your independence.
Definitely. So, Deborah, before I let you go, definitely shout out what you do. Shout out your Instagram. I think you're dope. I think you're going to keep growing. I think you're going to keep improving. I look forward to checking in with you soon, having you back on the podcast to see what you definitely got going. Let's go ahead and shoot out your Instagram handle really quick, Deborah.
Yeah, so it's Aline Postures, ALINE Postures at Instagram. Yes, you can follow me there. I'm on YouTube. I got a channel there as well. That's where all the workouts are. But yeah, Instagram is where I'm most active, and you can talk to me, give me feedback as to what content you would like, something that you might be struggling with. And yeah, it's post-physical therapy rehab to be able to help you find the freedom in your body's mobility.
Deborah on the Invest Podcast. Deborah, say your last name really quickly. Deborah.
Mugherini.
Oh, see, I want to say. Deborah, you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, and we'll chat really, really soon. Keep being awesome.
Take care. Bye.
All right.